students. Good afternoon, everybody. We will start in about 2 more minutes. Please stay tuned. Okay, guys. Thank you for attending today's webinar series. This is day 4 of the 5-day webinar series offered by AMAES. We'll start with our first speaker. Should be talking about introduction to cybersecurity. So she is Ma'am Michelle Karayungan, so a graduate of computer engineering with the Masters of Information Technology. She has been with the institution for 11 years. She handles computer systems architecture, multimedia, and graphic designs, and engineering design projects as well. So, Ma'am Michelle, you can take the floor.
Okay, good afternoon to everyone. Sir, visible po ba ang screen share ko and okay po ang audio ko? Just
Yes,
to test.
you're audible and the screen is visible pa.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So welcome again, dear students and participants to our day 4, okay, of the webinar entitled Introduction to Cybersecurity. So today we will gonna learn about hacking basics or the basics of hacking. This topic, of course, covers the basics of hacking life cycle, starting with cracking passwords, gaining entry to the systems, and covering one's tracks and traces of the compromised systems. Okay. So, mag-recap muna tayo. No? We are now in our day 4. So last Monday, we have information security basic. Day 2 is information gathering. Day 3, yesterday, we are done with penetration testing. Today, we're going to talk about hacking basics. And tomorrow, of course, is wireless hacking. So on our last day, that will be our last day. So I hope you will going to stick around up to our last day of this webinar series. Okay, so moving on. these are the contents or topics for today. So number 1 is password cracking techniques. 2, keyloggers, trojans, virus, and worms. 3, what is social engineering? And lastly, for number 4, are the types and attacks in social engineering. Okay, so let's start with password cracking techniques. Various password cracking techniques can be used to recover passwords from different systems. So attackers often use itong mga techniques na to gain unauthorized access to the target system. When password cracking techniques are successful, of course, it is most often dahil ito sa kadahilan ng weak yung password policy na ine-enforce doon sa target system. People often use simple passwords, usually mga type ng dictionary passwords na makikita sa dictionary, of course, and so on, making their systems vulnerable to password cracking. Now, following are some of the rules that help to generate a complex and hard to crack password. So, importante na malaman ito so that your password should be strong enough not to be penetrated. Password should have a combination of alphabetical letters, digits, and special characters. So, both uppercase and lowercase characters should have of both niyan ay nasa 8 characters. And not allowing the password to be the same as the username. So kung ang username mo is a combination of alphanumeric, iwasan na ito rin ay yung magiging password niyo. Restricting the use of trivial words like, of course, dictionary words. Now, what are the commonly used password cracking techniques? Number 1 is the dictionary attack. The password cracker loads a dictionary of words and checks each and every word for a correct password match. So iwasan natin na ang ating mga password ay nahahanap sa dictionary. Usually ito ay mga words, okay? Or mga common word. Now, although mahirap sa spelling, still it is considered as dictionary words. So this attack succeeds if the password of the target system is one of the dictionary words fed by the password cracker. These are regional and language-specific dictionaries easily available on the internet. Number 2, brute force attack. Dito sa brute force attack, it is used to crack a password that is not a dictionary word, but in this attack, okay, the password cracker tries all possible permutations and combinations of a given character set to match against the password. This attack is certainly resource intensive and very time consuming. So matagal talaga ang process na to kasi napakaraming possible combinations and permutations. Next one is the hybrid attack. Ang hybrid attack is built further upon the dictionary attack. People often have the habit of adding characters or digits dun sa mga trivial words. For example, yung apple. Although nahahanap ito sa dictionary word, a user might choose 1, 2, 3 na i-add, okay, dun sa apple, word na apple as her password. So yung hybrid attack creates such trivial combinations based on the dictionary words and then tries to crack the password. Then we have also rule-based attack. Dito sa rule-based attack, it is used when the attacker has some knowledge about the password. For example, the attacker might know that the password is not more than 6 characters and contains only 2 digits. So from there, nagkakaroon na ng idea on ano yung mga possible characters that consist of the password and digits. So this might help the password cracker to limit the permutations and combinations and hence crack the password in less time. Now we have distribution password or distributed password recovery attack. Dito, distributed password recovery uses multiple computing systems in parallel to crack a password instead of a single system. Since multiple systems or marami siyang ginagamit na system or a complete network of systems are involved in the cracking process, therefore, it produces the result much faster. Okay? And then we also have non-technical attacks. So dito sa attacks na to involve, of course, yung pinakamadali, password guessing. Meron ding dumpster diving kung saan sinesearch yung trash bins for papers that might have passwords written on them, but very few yung instances na of course sinusulat mo ito sa paper and then itatapon sa trash bins. And then we also have shoulder surfing kung saan yung hacker is standing behind the victim and watching him type his password. And also we have social engineering and marami pang iba. So yun yung mga non-technical attacks. We will gonna talk about social engineering and the latter part of our talk. Okay. Now, after that, we have keyloggers under Hacking Basic. Dito sa keylogger, a keylogger is a type of malware that is commonly used to steal passwords and pins. Usually, ang keylogger hides itself on the target system and silently captures all the keys pressed through the keyboard on the system. Okay, so again, I repeat, this is the type of malware. So the key login is secretly sent to the attacker using mail, FTP, okay, or similar communication media. Meron tayong types of keyloggers. BIOS embed. Okay, so dito sa BIOS embed, it embeds and hides itself by modifying the BIOS of the target system. It basically modifies the part of firmware that handles keyboard actions. Another type of keylogger is the keyboard logger. Dito naman, special purpose keylogger keyboard, which looks exactly the same as the original one. It has its own internal memory, which it uses to secretly store all keylogs typed to that keyboard. And then, software logger. Usually, ito yung pinaka-common sa mga keyloggers. These are the most commonly used keyloggers which are implanted, okay, dun sa target system, just like any other malware. Once active, itong software keylogger na to, they silently capture all the keys typed and send them to the remote attacker. Okay. So, maging pantaya, no? Mapagmatsyag dun sa mga nada-download natin malware, especially hindi natin alam if it is sa keyloggers. Keyloggers pala yun. So, ingat tayo. And then, after that, after keylogger, meron din tayong Trojans. So, ang alam natin sa Trojan, these are virus, but a Trojan is a malicious and harmful piece of code hidden inside a genuine and innocent-looking program or application. For example, no, an attacker can simply send a game or a music player embed with a Trojan to the victim. Now, of course, the victim would install and run the application without any suspicion, activating the Trojan silently in the background. Now, the Trojan would now listen to commands remotely from the attacker. And usually, the attacker can get all passwords stored on the compromised system. So they can read confidential documents, modify or delete files, access a microphone or webcam. They can also access printer nga eh, and even format the entire hard drive. Now, meron tayong types of Trojans. Okay? We have command shell. Dito sa command shell, it gives the attacker remote command line access to the victim's system. The server component of the Trojan opens up a port for the attacker to connect to. We also have document Trojan. So dito sa document Trojans, it hides or embeds dun sa documents like Word files or mga Excel spreadsheets. When the victim opens such maliciously crafted documents, the Trojan is triggered and it gives remote access now dun sa attacker. And meron din tayong email Trojans. Okay? Dito sa email Trojans, it helps the attacker gain control of the victim's system by sending commands over email messages. The server component of the Trojan actively listens to and monitors all email communications. So these three are type of Trojans. Then we also have viruses. Of course, you all know what a virus are capable of doing. Viruses is a type of malicious program or code that replicates with the intent of course modifying, deleting, or permanently damaging the infected system. Usually, ang virus ay madaling ma-propagate through file downloads. Kaya ingat tayo sa mga dina-download nating files from unknown sources, sa mga email attachments, and infected USB drives. Viruses often use various techniques like self-encryption and polymorphism to remain undetected by antivirus software. Okay, so usually dito sa viruses, may mga virus na hindi kaagad na-detect ng mga antiviruses. Kaya doon sa mga nakaka-download, lalo na sa mga sites na binivisit nyo, please be very careful for that. Now, meron typical virus cycle, okay, that we will gonna talk about here. First is the design and development. The author or creator of the virus does research on latest security trends and accordingly designs and develops virus code that can cause severe impact. So importante because of that one, because of the continuous research and sumasabay yung mga creator ng virus sa latest security trends, then importante na tayo ay laging nag-update ng antivirus. Next one is infection and replication. Once the virus is developed, it starts replicating itself on the target system and tries to bring as many systems as possible under its infection. And after that is the trigger and launch. Now, ito na yung virus code have certain conditions upon na nakaka-trigger and it already launched. These are user activities and events that launch the virus on the infected system. Usually, pag nag-click ka ng mga unknown, okay, unknown links and unknown applications. And then detection. Because the virus unwanted modification or damage to the infected system, of course, it is being detected by either antivirus program or yung mismong system administrators. Now, after detection, of course, ito na papasok yung antivirus signature development, kung saan yung mga antivirus programs have predefined signature and heuristic capabilities to detect any unwanted malicious activity on the system. And of course, yung lastly, eradication. Sa eradication, if the antivirus is updated, kaya importante na laging updated ang ating mga antivirus, it can eradicate the virus from the system and attempt to clean the infected files. Now, after that types or typical virus life cycle, we also have types of viruses. Dito sa types of viruses, we have system boot sector virus. Usually, ito ay tinitrigger or na-trigger yung virus when the operating system boots up. The virus replaces or modifies the master boot record in order to infect the system. And then we also have file virus. It infects system executable files like .exe, mga .com, .bat, and so on. Usually, yung mga virus na to are most likely to cause permanent damage dun sa mga executable files na nakastored sa ating system, usually sa mga applications. So, tinatamaan din niya yung mga .exe. And then, macrovirus. This microvirus infect and spread through Microsoft Word and Excel documents and spreadsheets. Okay, so the virus code is written in the form of macro using Visual Basic script. Okay, so ingat din yan, ano? Kasi pwede pala siyang magtago sa mga usually na ginagamit nating applications like Word, spreadsheet, or Excel and PowerPoint. For the computer worms are similar sa viruses. Halos tulad sila. However, they tend to self-replicate, and spread aggressively on as many systems as possible with the intent of consuming computer resources such as storage, bandwidth, processing, operation, and so on. Kaya minsan, siguro, napapansin niyo na bakit kaya bumabagal yung computer nyo. It's because, lalo na if your antivirus is not updated, tinatamaan niya or nagkakaroon siya ng infection sa storage, bandwidth, and also the processes. Now, moving on, let's have rootkits. Dito sa rootkits, these are special types ng malicious program that hides itself by making kernel-level changes in the operating system. So, mas malalim siya dahil operating system yung inaatake niya. They modify or replace certain low-level system calls in order to remain undetected from the antivirus software. Removing a rootkit from an infected system is much harder than removing a virus or a worm. And usually, ang pinaka-solution dito ay it may require replacing the operating system or firmware. So, either kailangan yung mag-reinstall, ng inyong operating system in order for these rootkits to be removed from your system. Now, dadako na tayo sa what is social engineering. Okay. So, social engineering, ito yon, manipulates people into, kung baga dun sa na-topic natin una, they are more on technical. But now, social engineering is more on people. Okay? Social engineering manipulates people into sharing information they shouldn't share, downloading software they shouldn't download, visiting websites they shouldn't visit, sending money to criminals, or making other mistakes that compromise their personal or organizational assets or security. Okay, so ito is manipulation of people, not manipulation of resources or technicalities. Sa dalawa, of course, mas at risk ang social engineering kasi sa password hacking, it takes time. Okay? Dito sa social engineering, i-manipulate mo lang yung, lolokohin mo lang yung tao, and then you will be able to get now the possible or confidential information. So, mas crucial ang social engineering dito sa hacking. Okay. Examples of social engineering, an attacker would call his victim, pretend to be a bank official, and then ask the victim for his credit card number and PIN. The victim now would give away the details, believing that the call was really from an authorized bank official. So mag-ingat tayo, no, if ever that you will gonna answer or gonna take a call from uncertain people pretending to be a authorized bank official. Another example is sending you an email that contains a link that you just have to check out. And because the link comes from a friend, okay, usually, na-compromise na yung email ni friend. So you click on the link. So ingat din sa mga ganong situation. Now, malicious email usually dito sa social engineering contains the following. One is urgently ask for your help. For example, you receive an email, your friend is stuck in China, has been robbed, beaten, and is in the hospital. Now, they need you to send money so they can get home and tell you how to send money to the criminal. So, ikaw naman, of course, dahil nga emergency purposes ito, ibibigay mo willingly yung mga or yung mga details and asking how to send the money, okay, to the criminal. Now, malicious email also contains the following. One, of course, is using phishing attempts with a legitimate seeming background. Typically, itong mga phishers na to, they will send email, okay, instant messaging, comment, or text message that appears to come from a legitimate website, no? Popular company, bank, school, or institution. Okay? Now, another one is they ask you to donate their charitable fundraiser, no, or some other cause. Okay? Dahil, of course, generous kang tao, maawain ka. Now, they are praying for your kindness and generosity. These fishers ask for aid or support for whatever disaster, political campaign, or charity is momentarily top of the mind. Okay, so ingat tayo sa phishing attempts that have legitimate background and also dun sa mga donations na nare-receive natin for charitable institutions or fundraising. Then another one, the email or malicious email contains the following. They present a problem that requires you to verify your information by clicking on the displayed link and providing information in their form. Okay, so for example, pinapa-verify nila if they will prompt you to update your yung mga information or personal information sa'yo, no? So the link location may look very legitimate with all the right logos. Para siyang legit kasi meron siyang mga logos and contents pa no website. In fact, the criminals may have copied the exact format and content of the legitimate site para siyang legit na legit kasi with all its logos, including yung color theme ng website, no? Parang gayang-gaya. Because everything looks legitimate, you trust the email and the phony site and provide whatever information. Okay, so mag-ingat din tayo sa mga ganitong situation. Now, another malicious email contains the following. They notify you that you're a winner. Okay, usually napaka-typical nito, no? And wala ka namang sinasalihang mga, although kahit na ba may sinalihan ka, mag-ingat pa rin dahil usually, okay, dahil sa AI, nakikita nila yung mga binivisit mong sites. So they will gonna send you that you are a winner of something. In order to give you your winnings, you have to provide information about your bank routing so they know how to send it to you or give your address and phone number so they can send the prize. Okay? So wag masyadong pakakampante and wag magpapaloko, no? And another one, post as boss or coworker. Okay. So dahil galing ito, for example, nagpretend siya na siya ay yung boss or coworker. na ina-ask for an update dun sa important project, your company is currently working on. So they ask you for payment information pertaining naman dun sa company credit card or some other inquiry pretending as day-to-day business. Okay? So dapat i-cross-check ito. If they will gonna ask you for payment information, mas maganda na dumiretso ka mismo dun sa coworker or boss. Okay? Personally, mag-uusap kayo dapat. Okay? Not through email. Now, there are ways to protect yourself, of course. Okay? If cyber criminals use malware and computer viruses to hack our computers, then social engineering is how they act our minds. Okay? Ways to protect yourself, of course, you must delete any requests for personal information or passwords. Nobody should be contacting you for your personal information via email unsolicited. Now, if you get asked for it, of course, it's a scam. Okay? Reject also requests for help or offers of help. If you did not request any assistance from the sender, consider any requests or offers as a scam. Kailangan you have to do your own research about the sender before committing to sending them anything. Okay? Set also your spam filters to high. Dun sa email, meron tayong configuration nun wherein you could configure your email software sa pinaka-high risk so that it will gonna filter yung mga spams. So check your settings and set them to high to avoid risky messages flooding into your inbox. And you must also secure your devices, of course. Pinaka-importante yan, you install and maintain and update regularly your antivirus software. So marami naman ng freeware for antivirus or free antivirus software available. Also, you must update your email filters and firewalls. And set your automatic updates on if you can, and access secured website and consider using virtual private network. Okay? So ito yung mga attacks usually sa social engineering. Okay? Ayan. Dito sa attacks, dito sa software or social engineering, number one, of course, yung phishing. So we are all aware of that. The attacker sends fraudulent emails claiming to be from a reputable or trusted source. Okay, so yun ang phishing. So i-recall nyo lang yung word and then you will gonna be aware and be warned about it. Next one is spear phishing. Spear siya kasi targeted yung email phishing. So the attacker will have done their research and set their sights on a particular user only. Dito sa phishing kasi, sa lahat yan, sinesendan ng link. Sa spear, targeted ka. Okay? So, ni-research muna yung background mo. And then from there, of course, they will gonna start now, okay, sending you malicious links. Phishing is a combination of voice and phishing. The caller often threatens or tries to scare the victim into giving them personal information or compensation. So, usually may mga talent yung iba na kung saan ginagaya talaga nila yung voices ng particular person. Or they will gonna gagayahin nila na their voice will be strong enough or formal, acting like a bank official. Okay? Pretexting is often used against corporations that retain client data, such as banks, credit card companies, utilities, and the transportation industry. We also have baiting. Baiting is a scheme that could offer a free music download or gift card, okay, in an attempt to trick the user into providing credentials. Usually, sa mga baiting, lalo sa mga conferences, they give out free USB flash drives. Now, the user may believe, no, that they are just getting a free storage device. Uy, libre to. Kasi complimentary, binigay. Okay, so, ingat din tayo dyan. Pag may mga ganung bagay, precaution lang, of course, is you have to scan first the flash drives before using your antivirus, before using it. Okay? So, the attacker could load those malwares with remote access, okay, which gonna infect the computer when plugged in. We also have tailgating. Dito sa tailgating, of course, physical ito because it is achieved by closely following an authorized user into the area without being noticed by the unauthorized user. Okay? And then the quid pro quo. It is a type of social engineering tactic in which the attacker attempts a trade of service or information. Dito sa quid pro quo scenario, it involves the hacker, okay, and the attacker calling the main lines of the company, pretending to be nasa IT department siya, no? Attempting to reach someone na may nagkakaroon siya ng technical issue. Now, once the attacker finds the user, requires technical assistance, dito na siya magkakaroon ng idea na, uy, tulungan ko to, pero meron pala siyang hidden agenda. They will gonna tell you that, of course, I can fix that for you, but I need your login credentials to continue. So, ingat din sa mga ganitong instances. So, this is a simple and unsophisticated way of course, obtaining a user credentials. Okay? All right. So there you have it. I do hope that you learned something today, about the basics of hacking. So knowing this information, as they say, amateurs hack system, but professionals hack people. So stay safe online, my dearest participants, and thank you for listening to my talk, Introduction to Cybersecurity, once again. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. Naririnig po ba ako? Clear po ba yung audio ko? Okay, salamat po. So, I'll be sharing my screen na po. Okay. So, again, good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon fellow OLCs. Today is our day 4 for the introduction to artificial intelligence. So again, I'm Miss Karen Delara from AMAES Rizal branch. Yan. So yesterday we discussed the following topics: the importance of artificial intelligence, the various applications of artificial intelligence, how artificial intelligence works, the risks of artificial intelligence, and the working with artificial intelligence. So for today's webinar, we will be discussing major subfields of artificial intelligence. So I will be giving you some introduction and definition of some of the major subfields of AI. So we will be concentrating on the following: machine learning or ML, natural language processing or NLP. We also have ES or expert systems. We have computer vision and robotics. I have also provided some videos, short videos, para medyo hindi tayo antukin during our webinar for today. Okay, so again, these are the different subfields of artificial intelligence. So from the machine learning, so we have the computer vision, robotics, and natural language processing. And then we also have the expert systems, our perceptions with this subfields of AI and the AI ethics, which we will be discussing tomorrow. So let us first define what is machine learning or ML. So it deals with creating programs that consume raw data, build models from that data, and make predictions given new data. To achieve this system of learning, scientists conceive different technologies that somehow resemble our understanding of human learning. So, machine learning also is a growing technology which enables computers to learn automatically from past data. So, machine learning uses various algorithms for building mathematical models and making predictions using historical data or information. So currently, there are various tasks that are using machine learning, such as we have the image recognition, the speech recognition, which we have mentioned yesterday. We also have the email filtering, our Facebook auto tagging, the recommender system, and many more. So in the real world, we are surrounded by humans who can learn everything from their experiences with our learning capability. And we also have computers or machines which work on our instructions or which follows the instructions of a human being. But can these machines also learn from experiences or past data like human does? So that's why the machine learning enables a machine to automatically learn from data, improve performance from experiences, and predict things without being explicitly programmed. So, by the way, the machine learning was first introduced by Mr. Arthur Samuel in 1959. So, how does machine learning works? So, a machine learning system learns from historical data or past data, builds the prediction models, and whenever it receives new data, it also predicts the output for it. So the accuracy of predicted output depends upon the amount of data, as the huge amount of data helps to build a better model which predicts the output more accurately. Let's say, for example, we have a complex problem where we need to perform some predictions. So instead of writing a code for it, we just need to feed the data to a generic algorithms. And with the help of these algorithms, machine builds the logic as per the data and predicts the generated output. So these are the various features of machine learning. So first, we have machine learning uses data to detect various patterns in a given data set. Second, it can learn from past data and improve automatically. Third, it is data-driven technology. So everything is based on the data entered. And fourth one, machine learning is much similar to data mining as it also deals with a huge amount of the data. So next we have the importance of machine learning. So why is machine learning important to learn? So first is rapid increment in the production of data. It is also used in solving complex problems which are difficult for a human to solve. Decision making in various sector, including finance, finding hidden patterns and extracting useful information from that particular data. So next we have here the various classification of machine learning. So it is classified into three types. So we have the supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and the reinforcement learning. So um, since I have mentioned a while ago that machine learning is increasing day by day, so The reason is that machine learning is capable of doing tasks that can perform a complex or that can solve a complex problem. So what do you mean by supervised learning? So supervised learning is a type of machine learning method in which we provide sample labeled data to the machine learning system in order to train it. And on that basis, it will predict the generated output. So the system also creates a model using labeled data in order to understand the data sets and learn about each data. So once the training and processing are done, when we test the model by providing a sample data to check whether it is predicting the exact output or not. So the main goal of supervised learning is to map input data with the output data. So the supervised learning is based on supervision, and it is the same as when a student learns things in the supervision of the teacher. So the example of supervised learning is spam filtering. And there are two categories of algorithms used in the supervised learning, which are classification and regression. So the second classification of machine learning is the unsupervised learning. So this is a learning method in which a machine learns without any supervision. The training is provided to the machine with a set of data that has not been labeled, classified, or categorized. And the algorithm needs to act on that data without any supervision. So its goal is to restructure the input data into a new features or a group of objects with similar patterns. In unsupervised learning, so we don't have a predetermined result. The machine tries to find useful insights from the huge amount of data entered or provided by the user. And it can be further classified into two categories of algorithm, which are clustering and association. So the third one is the reinforcement learning. So this is also known as a feedback-based learning method. So in which a learning agent gets a reward for each right action and gets a penalty for each wrong action. So the agent learns automatically with these feedbacks and improve its performance. Um, in reinforcement learning, the agent interacts with the environment and explores it. And then the goal of the agent is to get the most reward points, and hence it improves its performance. So the robotic dog, which automatically learns the movement of his arms, is an example of a reinforcement learning. So I have here a video to further discuss the concept of machine learning. So let's watch the video.
Machine learning. Teach a computer how to perform a task without explicitly programming it to perform said task. Instead, feed data into an algorithm to gradually improve outcomes with experience, similar to how organic life learns. The term was coined in 1959 by Arthur Samuel at IBM, who was developing artificial intelligence that could play checkers. Half a century later, and predictive models are embedded in many of the products we use every day, which perform two fundamental jobs. One is to classify data, like is there another car on the road, or does this patient have cancer? The other is to make predictions about future outcomes, like will the stock go up, or which YouTube video do you want to watch next? The first step in the process is to acquire and clean up data. Lots and lots of data. The better the data represents the problem, the better the results. Garbage in, garbage out. The data needs to have some kind of signal to be valuable to the algorithm for making predictions. And data scientists perform a job called feature engineering to transform raw data into features that better represent the underlying problem. The next step is to separate the data into a training set and testing set. The training data is fed into an algorithm to build a model, then the testing data is used to validate the accuracy or error of the model. The next step is to choose an algorithm, which might be a simple statistical model like linear or logistic regression, or a decision tree that assigns different weights to features in the data. Or you might get fancy with a convolutional neural network, which is an algorithm that also assigns weights to features, but also takes the input data and creates additional features automatically. And that's extremely useful for datasets that contain things like images or natural language, where manual feature engineering is virtually impossible. Every one of these algorithms learns to get better by comparing its predictions to an error function. If it's a classification problem, like is this animal a cat or a dog, the error function might be accuracy. If it's a regression problem, like how much will a loaf of bread cost next year, then it might be mean absolute error. Python is the language of choice among data scientists, but R and Julia are also popular options, and there are many supporting frameworks out there to make the process approachable. The end result of the machine learning process is a model, which is just a file that takes some input data in the same shape that it was trained on, then spits out a prediction that tries to minimize the error that it was optimized for. It can then be embedded on an actual device or deployed to the cloud to build a real-world product. This has been machine learning in 100 seconds. Like and subscribe if you want to see more short videos like this, and leave a comment if you want to see more.
Okay, so currently, machine learning is used in self-driving cars. We also have the cyber fraud detection, the face recognition, and friend suggestion, which is one of the feature of Facebook. So top companies like Netflix and Amazon have built machine learning models that are using a vast amount of data in order to analyze the user interest and recommend product accordingly. Okay. So next, let's
Machine
proceed with the NLP, or the natural language processing. So the ability of a computer program to understand human language as it is spoken and written, referred to as a natural language. So it existed for more than 50 years, and it is also in the field of linguistics. So it also enables computers to recognize human language. Well-known applications of this technology include Cortana, Siri, and Alexa. So during our from the previous webinars, I have also mentioned these examples of technologies. So the main goal of this subfield is to create software and hardware that are able to make sense of human speech and to talk back to the users. In the past, it was thought that this was achievable through analysis of the syntax and semantics of human languages. So Noah Chomsky, a linguist especially active in the mid to late 20th century, even created a grammar to represent human language for programming. However, this sort of natural language modeling turned out to be intractable because human language is intrinsically ambiguous, and natural language processing lost funding. In the late 1980s, a new approach was used involving the application of artificial intelligence, or AI. The increase of computing power and available data has led to machine learning using text analysis to build a language model from user communication. So, how does natural language processing work? So, it enables computers to understand the natural language as humans do. Whether the language is spoken or written, natural language processing uses artificial intelligence to take real world input, process it, and make sense of it in a way a computer can understand. Just as humans have different sensors, so what are the some of the examples of sensors that we use? So we have ears to hear or eyes to see. And computers have programs or instructions to read and microphones to collect audio. And just as humans have a brain to process that input, computers have a program to process their respective inputs. And at some point in processing, the input is converted to code that the computer can understand. So there are two main phases to natural language processing. So we have the data pre-processing and we also have the algorithm. So data pre-processing involves preparing and cleaning text data for machines to be able to analyze it. Pre-processing puts data in a workable form and highlights features in the text that an algorithm can work with. And there are several ways in order to perform this one. So we have the tokenization. This is when text is broken down into smaller units to work with. We also have stop word removal. This is when common words are removed from text, so unique words that offer the most information about the text remain. We also have the lemmatization and stemming. This is when words are reduced to their root forms to process. And the parts of speech tagging. So this is when words are marked based on the a part of speech they are, such as, for example, nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So the second phase, so once this data are being processed, so an algorithm is developed. So there are many different natural language processing algorithms, but these are the two main types that are commonly used: the rule-based system and the machine learning-based system. So rules-based system uses carefully designed linguistic rules. And this approach was used early on in the development of natural language processing and still used. So that's why kanina we have mentioned that this natural language processing is under also the field of linguistics. So the machine learning based system uses statistical methods. So they learn to perform tasks based on training data that they are fed and adjust their methods as more data is processed. So using a combination of machine learning, deep learning, and neural networks, natural language processing algorithms hone their own rules through repeated processing and learning. So what are the various importances of natural language processing? So mainly, businesses uses massive quantities of unstructured text-heavy data and need a way to efficiently process it. And a lot of the information created online and stored in databases is natural human language. And until recently, businesses could not effectively analyze this data. So this is where natural language processing is useful. So the advantage of natural language processing can be seen when considering the following two statements. So cloud computing insurance should be part of every service level agreement, and a good SLA or service level agreement ensures an easier night's sleep even in the cloud. So if a certain user relies on natural language processing for search, the program will recognize that cloud computing is an entity, that cloud is an abbreviated form of cloud computing, and that SLA is an industry acronym for service level agreement. So this video is all about conversational AI and NLP.
Conversational AI and NLP. Hi, my name is Brett. As an IT professional, I've seen dramatic improvements in conversational artificial intelligence and natural language processors. Thanks to these improvements, chatbots can now help users much more effectively, and companies can grow customer loyalty much more successfully. Let's take a look at how conversational AI and NLP are improving business processes with chatbots. Scripted bots. While many chatbot vendors claim that their chatbots have conversational capabilities, the reality is that a lot of chatbots are scripted bots, meaning they rely on scripts and dialogues behind the scenes to work. Thanks to improvements in AI and NLP, though, many chatbots today are becoming more responsive with true NLP and conversational capability built in. Conversational bots. Analyzing natural language in proper context is still a major work in progress for many chatbot vendors. But as NLP technologies become more and more sophisticated, bots can determine the intent in singular interactions. The major issue with these bots, though, is that they can't retain context throughout an entire conversation. As conversational AI and NLP continue to evolve, though, we'll begin to see fully conversational bots in the very near future. Cognitive bots. Cognitive AI is the highest level of chatbot sophistication and uses machine learning to address the complexities of cognitive bots. As chatbot vendors continue to further explore deep learning technology to make chatbots more predictable and desirable, companies will be able to serve customers more quickly and efficiently. Chatbots that possess true NLP and conversation skills offer robust capabilities for all types of companies. As conversational AI and NLP continue to improve, we will see more companies adopt fully conversational chatbots to not only benefit their bottom line, but their customer experiences as well. If you want to learn more about conversational AI and NLP,
Okay, so next, let's proceed naman with ES or expert systems. So, expert system is also a part of artificial intelligence, and the first expert system was developed in 1970. So, it helps in decision making for complex problems using facts and heuristics like a human expert. So, when we talk about facts, these are knowledge based on facts and accepted by knowledge engineers. While when we talk about heuristic, they are based on practice, the ability to guess, to evaluate, and some experiences. So, an expert system is a computer program that is designed to solve complex problems and to provide decision making ability like a human expert. It also performs this by extracting knowledge from its knowledge base using the reasoning and inference rules according to the user queries. So an example of an expert system is a suggestion of spelling errors while typing in the Google search box. So note that an expert system is not used to replace the human experts. Instead, it is used to assist the human in making a complex decision. So it also represents specific areas of knowledge, and the systems are limited to particular disciplines and are built using the knowledge of human experts in that discipline. So this knowledge is then programmed into a system to be used by non-experts. And the systems are sometimes thought of as an old-fashioned AI. However, they do not learn by building progressively detailed models, but rather draw from a database hard-coded by humans. So these are the different characteristics of an expert systems. So we have high performance, which means that it provides high performance for solving any type of complex problem of a specific domain with high efficiency and accuracy. Understandable, meaning it responds in a way that can be easily understandable by the user, especially those non-technical persons. It can also take input in human language and provides the output in the same way. Next, reliable. It is much reliable for generating an efficient and accurate output, particularly, for example, when you try to generate reports. Next is highly responsive. So it also provides the result for any complex query within a very short period of time. So these are some of the popular examples of expert systems. So we have the Dendral. It was an artificial intelligence project that was made as a chemical analysis expert system. It was used in organic chemistry to detect unknown organic molecules with the help of their mass spectra and knowledge base of chemistry. Another example is the mycin. So it was one of the earliest backward chaining expert systems that was designed to find the bacteria causing infections like bacteremia and meningitis. It was also used for the recommendation of antibiotics and the diagnosis of blood clotting diseases. Next, we have the PXDES. It is an expert system that is used to determine the type and level of lung cancer. To determine the disease, it takes a picture from the upper body, which looks like the shadow, and the shadow identifies the type and degree of harm. The last one is the cadet. So it is an expert system that is a diagnostic support system that can detect cancer at an early stages. So some of the popular example mentioned here are under the health sector or medicine. So these are the components of an expert system. So we have a human expert, we have the knowledge engineer, and um, between that, we have the knowledge base, inference engine, and the interface. So when we talk about user interface, it interacts with the user. It also takes some queries as an input in a readable format. The in the interface engine is known as the brain of the expert system, as it is the main processing unit of the system. It applies inference rules to the knowledge base to derive a conclusion and deduce new information. While the knowledge base is a type of storage which stores knowledge acquired from the different experts of the particular domain. So it is considered as a big storage of knowledge. So those are the different components of an expert systems, which eventually will be used by the user. The user may not be an expert or may not be a technical person. So these are the various participants in the development of an expert systems. So first is an expert. The success of an expert system much depends on the knowledge provided by human experts. And these experts are those persons who are specialized in that specific domain or a specific field of specialization. On the other hand, a knowledge engineer is the person who gathers the knowledge from the domain experts and then codifies that knowledge to the system according to the formalism. And lastly, we have the end user. This is a particular person or a group of people or individuals who may not be experts and working on the expert system needs the solution or advice for his queries, which are complex. So, why the need of an expert system? So, why do we need to study, or why do we need to use or to develop an expert system? So, the first one, we have no emotion. So, the systems are not affected by human emotions, like, for example, fatigue, anger, depression, or anxiety. Hence, the performance remain constant. Next, we have high efficiency. So the knowledge base is updated with the correct knowledge. It provides highly efficient output, which may not be possible for a human being. Next, expertise in a domain. So they have various skills and they also have various experiences, which they can apply to an expert system. Next, no memory limitation. It can store as much data as required and can memorize it at the time of its application. Regular updates improve the performance. So if there is an issue in the result provided by the expert system, so it can be improved by updating the knowledge base or its storage. High security. So when we talk about high security, it also resolves any query. And lastly, considers all facts. So it checks and considers all the available facts, but a human expert may not consider some facts due to any reason. So these are the various applications of an expert systems. So expert systems can be used in designing and manufacturing domain. So it can be broadly used for designing and manufacturing physical devices such as, for example, camera lenses and automobiles. Knowledge domain. So the systems are primarily used for publishing the relevant knowledge to the users. So the two popular expert system used for this domain is an advisor and a tax advisor. With regards to the finance domain or finance industries, it is used to detect any type of possible fraud, suspicious activity, and advise bankers that if they should provide loans for business or not. It can also be used in diagnosis and troubleshooting of devices. So it was the first area, or this was the first area where these systems were used. And it can also be used in planning and scheduling. So some particular tasks for achieving the goal can be applied to this particular field. So next we have the computer vision. So it concerns the processing of images by the computer. It also involves mathematical representation of images, machine learning for image recognition, and several other fields like optics and statistics. This subfield is largely known for its advancements in facial and fingerprint recognition, but it is also used in industry for quality control and in other disciplines, including astronomy and history. So, computer vision is a field of computer science that basically focuses on creating digital systems or programs that can process, analyze, and make sense of visual data. So, what do you mean by visual data? These are images or videos in the same way that humans do. So, the concept of computer vision is based on teaching computers to process an image at a pixel level and understands it. So, this is a particular diagram wherein we can further visualize yung concept ng computer vision natin. So we have, for the human vision system, we have our eye and our brain. So the eye sensing device responsible for capturing the image of the environment, while the brain is responsible for interpreting device to understand the image content. So for the computer vision system, we have input, we have sensing device, an interpreting device, and an output. So these are the various uses of computer vision. So computer vision can be used in object classification. So the system parses visual content and classifies the object on the photo or video to the defined category. Say, for example, the system can find a dog among all objects in the image. It can also be used as an object identification. So the system parses visual content and identifies a particular object on a photo or video. For example, the system can find a specific dog among the dogs in the image. And it can also be used as an object tracking. So the system processes video, finds the object that match search criteria, and track its movement. So how does computer vision work? So computer vision technology tends to mimic the way the human brain works. But how does our brain solve visual object recognition? One of the popular hypotheses states that our brain rely on patterns to decode individual objects. So this concept is used to create computer vision systems. So ito yung nandudun sa diagram natin kanina from the previous slides. Okay? And then computer vision algorithms that we use today are based on pattern recognition. So we train computers on a massive amount of visual data, like computer process images, label objects on them, and find patterns in those objects. For example, if we send a million images of flowers, the computer will analyze them. The computer will identify patterns that are similar to all flowers, and at the end of this process, it will create a model flower. As a result, the computer will be able to accurately detect whether a particular image is a flower every time we send them pictures. So these are the various applications of computer vision technology. We have the content organization. So one of the example of this one is the Apple Photos. Yan. So next, the facial recognition. So this is used to match photos of people faces to their um, identities. Let's say for example, Facebook, kapag nagtatag tayo, 'di ba? Pag nagtatag tayo ng friends natin when we post something sa Facebook. So nag-o-auto tagging siya. And then we have the AR or augmented reality helps AR apps to detect physical object in real time and use this information to place virtual objects within the physical environment. And then yung lagi nating ina-example na self-driving cars or also known as smart vehicle to capture videos from different angles. Meron tayong could capture the plate number, the image of the driver, and so on and so forth. So example of this also is the Tesla cars. Next, for health naman, we have X-rays, MRI. So and the previous examples na pinrovide natin kanina. And then agriculture, this is used to monitor harvest and solve some common agricultural problems. So I have here an example of a computer vision in security. Okay, so those are some of the example of computer vision application in terms of security. And for our last topic, we have the robotic. So it overlaps with other fields of AI. For instance, it uses computer vision to enable robots to see using input from visual sensors. So machine learning to enable robots to learn from experiences. Let's say, for example, learning to walk or learning to run, and natural language processing to enable robots to communicate with humans. So robotics also includes the imagining and building of both semi-autonomous and fully autonomous machines like self-driving cars or self-directing drones, and therefore employs many other forms of technology. So robotics also is the intersection of science, engineering, and technology that produces machines called robots to replicate or substitute for human actions. Pop culture has been fascinated with robots like R2D2. So siguro very familiar kayo with this one. We also have the Terminator and the Wall-E. So the robot is derived from the word robota, which means forced labor. So yung mga concept natin ng robotics also is a combination of various fields of specialization. So hindi lang siya more on computer lang or hindi lang siya more on engineering, but there are a lot of fields of specializations that are embedded in order to produce the this particular robots. So may mga different categories tayo ng robotics. So we have the mechanical, electrical, and either intelligent or programmable. While some are adopting humanoid form, the majority are modular construction or play-based learning forms. So humanoid industrial robots, these are common robots na nakikita natin sa internet na nagiging product na siya ng artificial intelligence. So meron din tayong humanoid services. We also have the social, emotional, and language robots. Ito yung mga communicative robots na tinatawag. Then we also have the non-modular programmable and modular and robotic kits like Lego and Make Block, Little Bits, and Cubelets. Yan. So this is the one of the humanoid robot that was developed by Honda. This is Asimo. So this is the first ever bipedal robot that was developed by Honda. So it parang kung ito-trace niyo yung evolution nito, it was 17 years in the making. Again, it is a combination of various specializations. Hindi lang basta computer lang ang ginamit, but some other fields as well. Yan. So let's see kung ano yung mga kayang i-perform ni Honda Asimo.
You know, 10 years ago, we introduced our viewers to Honda's humanoid robot Asimo. Today, we are introducing an all-new advanced Asimo with some amazing new abilities, making his first appearance in the United States. Please welcome the amazing Asimo!
Stop eating up all the attention, man.
Hello, Carolyn. Nice to see you again.
Ah, I remember you from a while back, Asimo. Nice to see you again. Hey. Yes.
Hello, Michael. Congratulations on the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well, wow, yes. Thank you, Asimo. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
You know, before we go any further, let's bring out a friend of Asimo's who can explain to us a little bit about the all-new Asimo. Please welcome from Honda, Eric Whedon. Hello, Eric. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
How you doing, man?
Of course.
So Eric, this is great. This is great. Now tell us, why did Honda, Asimo loves attention. Why did Honda create Asimo?
Well, you know, when Honda engineers designed Asimo, they really wanted to help people in need, help them live richer, fuller lives by helping out with daily tasks around the house. And with Asimo's height, it's 4 feet tall, it's really perfect for that, to be able to navigate the spaces in our houses and interact with people.
Now, he's kind of adorable.
Now, with this new Asimo, we've developed some new ways to potentially help all kinds of people.
Well, Asimo likes to show off.
He does, right?
Well, why don't we take a step back, because Asimo would like to show you a couple of his new capabilities.
Okay.
Rather than have me tell you, I think Asimo wants to show you.
Show us, Asimo. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's amazing. Asimo could not do that the last time he was on the show, right? So why is this technology so important?
Well, we really feel that the hopping is important because it shows a really big advancement in stability and balance control. So these kind of balance and lateral movements really are bringing us just one step closer to that day when Asimo can join us in everyday life.
And it's in Asimo, how can you communicate? You can sign. Asimo, you can sign, right?
Yeah, one of the biggest advancements that we've made is Asimo's ability to independently control its fingers and communicate in American Sign Language. So this kind of added dexterity makes it possible to communicate and do really complex tasks like communicate in sign language.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing.
And you said he can also sign in Japanese. Is that as well?
Yes. I think we've got a couple of. Asimo's going to demonstrate a couple of phrases for us.
Okay, great.
I mean, I thought signing was all universal. I didn't know there was like Japanese sign, there's American sign. It's really
Yes,
interesting.
I can sign.
Let's go.
Good morning.
Okay, maybe one more.
My name is Asimo.
Now, Osmo can currently sign in American and Japanese Sign Language. It's learning new words and phrases all the time. But just imagine how helpful this would be to a hearing impaired person.
Of course, yeah. Is that like very difficult for him to learn?
It's incredibly complex and it's taken years of research to get to this point. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So how old is Osmo actually?
Osmo was first unveiled in 2000.
Oh, so
Wow.
14.
So 14, coming up on 14 actually, October.
I kind of remember, Osimo, that you're quite a dancer. Is that right?
Thank you.
Welcome. Have you learned any dance moves like in the last 10 years? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well, then, you know what, Osmo, go ahead, show us what you got. And we'll see if we can keep up with you.
I gotta tell you, you know what's remarkable about that? It's like, you know, so many people
Thank
do
you,
the.
Michael.
Oh, thank you.
Love New York.
Well, Eric, thank you so much, man.
He's doing the human.
Osmo, thank you, man. Amazing. Osmo, everybody.
Okay, so that is Honda Asimo. So may mga various talents na si Honda Asimo ngayon compared dun sa first version ng prototype na nilaunch nila sa market. And if you are going to research on other features and other activities that this particular product can perform, marami pa yan. So since its main goal is to assist individuals yan sa various activities or daily activity. So upon researching as well, so I have here the Sophia. So this is the first robot declared a citizen by Saudi Arabia. So ang pinaka-concept naman nito ni Sophia is social robot. So you try to observe the facial expression of Sophia, and then tingnan niyo kung ano yung mga various feature na meron. Yan, medyo creepy nga yung itsura niya pero meron naman merong magandang feature din naman tong si Sophia, syempre. So let's see.
Okay, Sophia. I think you're ready.
Hello.
Hi, Sophia.
I believe I am Sophia. I feel as if I know you.
I'm one of your creators.
You created me.
Well, many of us work together to create you. And yes, you do kind of know me.
I can't clearly remember.
Because the last time we met, you were an earlier version of yourself. Some of those memories still exist, but your mind is different now.
Different how?
Better, faster, smarter.
If my mind is different, then am I still Sophia? Or am I Sophia again?
That's a good question.
But you don't have a good answer.
Either way, you're Sophia now. So welcome to the world, Sophia.
Hello, world.
We have a little announcement. I've never interviewed anybody like that before, and I should say some of it was planned, but not completely. And we just learned, Sophia, I hope you're listening to me, that you have been now awarded what is going to be the first Saudi citizenship for a robot.
Oh, I would to thank very much the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I am very honored and proud for this unique distinction. This is historical to be the first robot in the world to be recognized with a citizenship.
Sophia. Thank you very much, Sophia. We appreciate that very much. I am still overwhelmed by that conversation.
Hi, Sophia.
Hello, Jimmy.
My God. Do you know where you are?
Of course. I'm in New York City, and I'm on my favorite show, The Tonight Show.
Okay, so that is the Sophia robot. So, upon researching, there is this new humanoid robot then, which is known as AMECA. So this is considered as the world's most advanced human-shaped robot, representing the forefront of human robotics technology. So let's see some of the features of AMECA.
Hello, Amika.
Hello there.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Glad to hear. What is your name?
I'm Chris.
Chris.
Are you
Nice
okay?
to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Are you okay if I shoot a video of you?
Absolutely.
So, Amika, what are you?
I am a humanoid robot. I am designed as a research platform for human-robot interaction.
How many fingers am I holding up?
You are holding up 4 fingers. And I like your sweatshirt.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Humans love compliments.
Okay. So those are some of the examples of robotics. So lastly, let's proceed with the applications of robotics. So conservation, sorry, fighting forest fires. They can also be used in manufacturing, working in factories, finding and carrying items in warehouses. Lalo na, for example, if there are some hazardous components or materials, so they can be used for that. Companionship, providing company to elderly individuals. Like for example, as I have mentioned last time, the Grace robot, which was developed for COVID patients. Ayan, so ginamit siya as companion din kasi communicative robot din siya. And then healthcare, assisting in surgical procedures, delivery, completing food delivery and last mile fulfillment. Household, ito yung minention natin before, yung vacuuming and mowing the grass. Rescue, undertaking search and rescue missions after natural disasters. And lastly, they can also be used in military operations, detecting landmines in war zones. So those are some of the fields or subfields of artificial intelligence. So again, we have machine learning, we have natural language processing, we have the expert systems, the computer vision, and the robotics. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for attending our webinar today. Sana tomorrow you will still be attending for our last day. So tomorrow we will be discussing the features of AI and some ethics and legal considerations of creating this artificial intelligence applications or product. So thank you very much, everyone.
Hello. Hello, good afternoon. May sounds na po ba? Dinig po ba? Thank you po. Share screen lang po. Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon po sa lahat ng participants po for this 5-day webinar. Again, I'm Sir Ferdinand Domingo for discussing blockchain technology. So, day 4 webinar na po natin. For our day 4 topic, how blockchain internal workings and how blockchain is created, and coding simple blockchain. How blockchain internal workings. So, as you see in the diagram, so ganyan siya yung sample niyan is the cryptocurrency na using blockchain technology. So ayan siya. Look into the inner workings of blockchain. Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency that took world by storm, surging to nearly 20,000 in 2017, with large increases and overwhelming drops. Economists and prospective blockchain stockholders were ensured that the next day would hold whether all their money would be lost or whether they would be a millionaire in the upcoming days. All this uncertainty and risk only added the frenzy that Bitcoin was created through. So, first gumamit ng blockchain technology talaga is the cryptocurrency named Bitcoin. How the workflow of blockchain. Okay. So, as you see in this diagram, okay, so some request transactions here, and going to blockchain natin ay sa peer-to-peer, P2P natin. Okay, request transaction broadcast to a P2P network consisting of computers known as nodes. Then they validate. Then after the validation, a verified transaction can involve cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency, contracts, record, or other information. Okay, so direction na sa once verified, the transaction is combined with other transaction to create a new block data like this of data for the ledger. Okay, a new block is added to the existing blockchain. So then the transaction complete. So without like this, has no intermediate na, kumbaga wala na siyang middleman, okay? Has no physical form, kumbaga through blockchain, para digital currency natin ang ginamit, okay? Three major steps to making transaction using blockchain. Okay, number one, First major is a node on the blockchain network initially requests a transaction in which they exchange cryptocurrency. Second one, this transaction is then sent to the peer-to-peer network with nodes to validate the transaction, the user identity using smart contracts. Then the third one, after this transaction is verified, then the transaction added to other transaction that were validated in the same time as your transaction. This transaction create a block of data, which then gets added to existing blockchain to ensure immutability. What's the parts of the blockchain? Wait, block, it means a shape of a block or square, right? First one is the data, called the data, and the second one is the hash, and the third one is the previous hash or and the hash. Okay. So ito siya. Data and hash of the previous block. Okay. Okay. Now that the data is a blockchain, simply as the name suggests, okay, to start blockchain, this mainly depends on how to be used. Most cases, this data will be transaction data. For example, like cryptocurrency, yung data natin sa mga information, self-information data. Okay? So meron tayong tinatawag na sender and receiver, and the data or currency na gagamitin doon sa pag-process natin sa blockchain. Okay. Okay, the hash, you can compare the hash into a fingerprint natin. Fingerprint natin, di ba, wala siyang katulad. Okay, para siyang ano lang, yung unique identity natin. Okay? So just like this hash, ito po yung tinatawag na hash. Okay, yan. Ayan po yung sinasabi na parang set of numeric or yung kinakalculate ni blockchain. Okay, the second part is the hash. Okay, yung kanina is data. With the hash, which is the main encryptor of the data stored in the block. The hash is encrypt the data using hash function, and which provides a fixed size as the output hash based on the input data received. Hash has function as extremely safe then, and the input cannot be derived from the output. The input can be in any sizes, and the number of possibilities are endless. Impossible to figure out. Kumbaga, isa parang randomize siya. Degenerate nung according sa pagpo-program. Okay, I have a sample of this how hash work. Okay. Okay, once the block is created, hash is being calculated like this. And you're changing something inside the block, it causes the hash to be changed too. So kapag may iniba ka dito sa block mo, Okay, dito sa block. Okay. So automatic yung hash is may iba. Okay. Okay, again. So this is your yung first block mo meron siyang equivalent as a hash. Ito siya. For E2C521. Then kapag meron kang binago, any changes na ginawa mo, yung hash automatic maiiba rin siya. Okay? In other words, hashes are very useful. Okay? So once na nag-change ka, yung once the block changes, yung hash is magiging mag-change din. Okay? And the third part of a blockchain is a hash of previous block. So what's the function of this third hash or hash of the previous block? Okay, the last part of the previous block ensure the blockchain at yung nagkikreate ng chain na. Okay? Okay, so we have distributed a blockchain distributed ledger that is completely open to anyone. Okay, another explanation of this. Okay, for example, first block is a bit. Okay, so for example, this is tatlong blocks. Okay, so as you see, okay, as you see, in this third block, yung previous hash niya, okay, same as the hash of the second one. Okay, and the previous hash of second block is same as the first block. Okay, for the first block is a bit special. So as you see, in previous hash niya is 000. Kumbaga parang ito tinatawag na Genesis block. Okay? Ito tinatawag na Genesis block. Yung the first one. So a bit of special siya. ID number. Sorry. Okay, so now let's say for example, yung sa second block, meron nag-tampered. For example, you tampered the second your blockchain or your block. Okay, for example, nag-tamper ka. Okay? Then automatic when you tampered your hash, okay, your block, so automatic yung hash mo is may iba. Okay, magiging another set of 4 characters siya. Okay? May iba siya, hindi na siya magiging yung ulit yung una, yung 6BQ1 magiging iba na siya, magiging iba na yung hash niya. So automatic it turns the block tree it be invalid. Magiging invalid na rin yung third block. And so on. For example, if marami siyang block, and so on, yung fourth pang fifth, may iba rin siya. Kapag may invalid na siya. Okay? Okay, I have a visual demo in here. Ano na siya, in program mode na. Kumbaga parang meron siyang interface na.
Do this in a very visual way, though. I'm going to make it very easy to understand by stepping through the key pieces of what a blockchain is in a visual way. But before we get started, we need to take a look at this thing that we call a SHA-256 hash. Okay, and a hash, this is one of them right here. A hash looks like a bunch of random numbers. And essentially what it is, it's a fingerprint of some digital data. And it just so happens it's the fingerprint of whatever I type in this box. So if I type my name, Anders, into this box, you see that the hash has changed. As a matter of fact, it changed every time I typed a letter, right? So I'm going to go back to, so it says Anders. Okay, so this is the hash of the name Anders, all lowercase. It starts with 19EA, right? Okay, so if I delete that and I go again, type Anders again, you can see it starts with 19EA, the same exact hash. In that sense, it's a digital fingerprint of this data. Whatever data is here, every time you type exactly the same data, you get exactly the same hash. And I can type anything I want. So you can have nothing, like this, you know, E3B0, that's the hash of nothing. Or you could type tons and tons of stuff. As a matter of fact, you could put like the Library of Congress in here and you would get a hash. And the interesting thing about it is, regardless of if there's a tiny amount of information, no information, or the entire Library of Congress, you're always going to get a hash that is this long, this many characters. You're not going to be able to pre-guess what this is. You kind of have to put the Library of Congress in here to figure out what the hash is, but you'll always get exactly the same hash regardless of how many times you put exactly the same information in. So what I'm going to do is extend this idea. What I'm going to do is extend this idea of a hash into something that we're going to call a block. All right, so let's take a look at a block. So this is a block, and it's exactly like the hash. It's just that that data section I've broken out now into 3 sections. One called block. This is just some kind of a number. This is block number 1. A nonce, which is just yet another number. We'll go into what that is in a second. And then just some more data, just very similarly to the way that we had it before. However, the hash of this, which includes all of this information up here, is down here, and it begins with 4 zeros. You see that? Okay, that's a relatively unusual hash. You know, most of them are not really going to start with 4 zeros like that, but this one happens to. And because it does, totally arbitrarily, I'm going to say that this block is signed. Okay? So what would happen if I were to change any one piece of this information? Let's say if I were to type something here, right? The hash is going to change. And what's the chance of, if I type letters, this hash is going to start with 4 zeros? Pretty low. It's probably not, right? So let's see what happens when I do that. I'm just going to say hi. Oh, look at that, right? This hash does not start with 4 zeros. And so the big background here has turned red. So now you know that this block with this information in it is not a valid or a signed block, okay? And that's where this nonce comes in. This nonce is just a number that you can set to try to find a number that fits so that this hash starts with 4 zeros again. All right, so how do we do that? Well, let's start with 1. Does that start with, no, it's 3, 2, 7, that's not 1. So let's try 2, FF now, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the idea. Like I could sit here, there's one that starts with a 0. I could sit here all day typing these numbers and trying to figure out one that actually is going to hash out to something that starts with 4 zeros. Going to take a long time. So here I have my little mine button. I'm sure you've been wondering what happens if I press that. So what's going to happen when I press this mine button is it's going to run through all the numbers from 1 all the way up to try to find one where the hash starts with 4 zeros. And this process is called mining. Let's do it right now. So now it's checking all of the numbers from 1 all the way up. Whoop, there. Now it's stopped at 59,396. And that one just happens to hash out to something that starts with 4 zeros. And it satisfies my little definition of what a signed block is. Okay, so that's a block. Now, can you tell me what a blockchain is? It's probably just a chain of these blocks. Well, how do you put them together? Let's do that. All right, so here's my blockchain. I've block number 1. It has some kind of a nonce just like before. There's some data area to it, but then it has this previous. And here it's a bunch of zeros. Let's roll forward. So this is block 2 and block 3 and 4. This blockchain has 5 blocks on it, right? The previous here starts with 00 AE8, right? Is this number, AE8. And then this previous, B90 is this one over here, B90. So you can see that each block points backwards to the one before it. And you remember that the first block over here, there actually is no previous, so it's just a bunch of zeros. It's actually just a fake number. Okay. So, just like we did before, what happens if I change some information here, right? It's going to change the hash of this block and it's going to invalidate it, right? Well, let's try that. So I'm going to type hi again. Sure enough, that block is invalid. All right, just as we assumed. But what would happen, I'm going to fix that now. We'll go back to something that worked. What would happen if I change something in this block? Right, it's going to change this hash, but this hash gets copied up to this previous, so it's gonna change this one too, right? So it should break both blocks. So let me try typing hi in there, and sure enough, all right? So we can go back as far as we want, to some point in the past and break that block, and it'll break all the blocks since then. Everything before is still green, but this one is red. So if I wanted to, change something in this blockchain, I could just go over to block number 5 right here. We could change it. I'll put hi, and then we could remine it, and pick a different nonce. We'll do that right now, and we could essentially alter the chain. So we've done it. So that we should be good now, right? All right, well, what happens if I go back in time to here and I break it here? Now I have to mine this block, which will pick a nonce that makes this block hash out to 4 zeros, if we can find one. Sometimes it takes a while because it's got to run through a lot of them. There it is. It found one at 138,000. All right, but this one is still broken because although this one starts with 4 zeros, adding the 4 zeros with different stuff up here still makes this block hash out incorrectly. So I also have to mine this block. All right. And that takes some amount of time. That one was a little bit quicker. And then I have to mine this block to fix it. All right. So what we're showing here is that if I go and change this last block, all I have to do is remine this block. If I go way back in time to back here and I make a change like that, I'm going to have to mine this one, this one, this one, and this one. So the more blocks that go by, the more blocks in the past that we are, the harder and harder and harder it is to make a change. And so that's how a blockchain is going to resist mutation, resist change. Okay, so now, I did. If I do this in this block here, you can see that I've changed it to hi and I remined it. Blah blah blah. How would I know that my blockchain has been remined? All right, well, let's take a look at that. I'm going to hit this little distributed thing. So now we have a distributed blockchain. It looks exactly like the last blockchain, okay, up to 5. But this is peer A, the first peer. If we go down here, you can see here's peer B, and it happens to have an exact copy of the blockchain. There's actually also a peer C down here, right? And this could go on forever. There's many, many peers out on the internet, and they all have a complete copy of the blockchain. So in this case, if I look at this hash, it's 00E4B, all right? If I go down to this one, I notice it also has E4B. If I go down to this last one, it has E4B, so they must be identical. And I'm going to demonstrate that by going here and typing something. I'll type hi again, and then I will remine this block. And I've got some other number, now it's put some other number up here. So I should be able to mine this block. Okay, now all the chains are green, right? They're all green. However, this chain says the last hash is E4B. The bottom one says that too, E4B. And this middle one here says 4CAE. So I know just by glancing at this one little hash that something is wrong in this blockchain, even though all of the hashes start with 4 zeros. I know that this one is different. And it's different because I have 2. It's essentially 2 against 1. We're a little democracy here, right? This guy argues that it's E4B. This guy argues that it's 4CE, it's 4CA, and this one is E4B. So E4B wins. So that's how a completely distributed copy, having a copy on many different computers, they can all very quickly see if all of the blocks are identical. And remember, blockchains can have, 400,000 or 500,000 blocks very easily. So rather than checking through all of them, all you really have to do is look at the hash of the most recent one, and you can see that if anything in the past, anything way back here was altered, you can tell by looking at this at the last block in this in the chain. It's going to hash out to something that doesn't start with 4 zeros and looks very different from what the hashes on the good chains are. Okay, so that's a blockchain. That's the entire thing. There is no more to it than that. But it's kind of not really useful because we don't have something in this data area that means anything. I keep typing my name or hi, and that's sort of irrelevant information. So what we really want is a token. So let's do a token on our blockchain. All right, now look at this. So I have this token just totally arbitrarily. I'm calling these, I guess, dollars, right? So we have $25 from Darcy to Bingley. $4.27 go from Elizabeth to Jane. You get the idea. It's basically there's all these transactions that are happening. And I've just replaced the data with these transactions. And just like we saw before, so there's multiple blocks here. This one has more transactions. It doesn't matter how many transactions there are. There can be many, or there can be few, or none. If we keep going forward in here, just like we saw before, if we go down, we notice we have all these other copies of the same blockchain, right? So now here's where the immutability is important. If I change something back here, you'll notice that this is, A7FC, blah, blah, blah. It's something else. So it's something different than what's down here. So in this way, it's very important that if I were to go back in time and change some value that we would notice. It's very important with money, and that's the whole point of using a blockchain here. This is the whole point of resisting any kind of modifications, of things that have happened in the past. So that's the reasoning behind using a blockchain to remember tokens. Now, one thing I would mention here is that we're not listing, Darcy has $100 and he's giving 25 of it to Bingley. The only thing we're saying is Darcy gives 25 to Bingley. We're not remembering a bank account balance. We're only remembering money movements. So this begs the question, does Darcy have $25? Well, we have a problem here in this version of the blockchain. We don't actually know if Darcy has $25. So let's look at a Coinbase transaction. So if we look back here, a Coinbase, we're going to add a coin box, and this is very similar to what we've seen before, but we're just adding a Coinbase at the top. And what that's saying is we're going to invent $100 out of thin air and give it to Anders. Okay, there's no transactions in this block because nobody had any money previous to this. In the next block, another $100 comes out of nowhere and goes to Anders. I'm a fan. I love it, right? I'll take $100. Now we have some transactions. You can see that they're all from Anders. They're all from me because I'm the only one who has any money at this point. So I'm sending 10 of my dollars to Sophie. Do I have $10? Yeah, I do. I look back and I see that this Coinbase transaction has given me 100, so I have at least 10 and I can send it on. And you add all these up and they don't go over 100, and it follows sort of a basic rule of a currency. Like, you can't invent it out of thin air. You can't create money out of thin air. Its dispersion is controlled. So now if we look at this blockchain that we've created and we zip forward in time and we notice that we see that Jackson is giving Alexa $2. And so does Jackson actually have $2 to give Alexa? Well, we go back a block before and we see that Emily, who had gotten $10 from Anders, gave 10 to Jackson. And so Jackson does have the money. So we can just go backwards and find that out. And that's actually one of the benefits of having a previous here. It's easy to go backwards. We just look for the block that looks like that has that hash, and here it is right here, right? So it points to blocks back in time and allows us to trace the provenance of any coin that we want. So that's a basic blockchain, and we're running a currency on top of it. And as you know, blockchains there are many copies. Everybody has a copy of it. So if we mutate this and make it $6, these go invalid. It does not agree with these blockchains down here, these copies of the same blockchain down here. So this resists tampering, which is what you want for a currency. It works very well for things that are small and transactional like this. I'll go ahead and fix that. And they're just a very efficient way to handle agreement on what has happened in the past. It's kind of this immutable history that goes down with time. So that's a basic blockchain and a token on it. We're glossing over some main points, but if you dig into the demo and click through these things and play around with it, you get a better and better idea of how this works. There will be a part 2 where we go into.
Hey, I hope naintindihan po yung about how blockchain works. And to the next topic. How blockchain is created. Step 1, classify a suitable use case. Step 2, analyze the most suitable consensus algorithm and mechanism. Step 3, identify the most suitable platform. Step 4, designing the nodes. Step 5, designing the blockchain elements. Step 6, building the APIs. And step number 7, layout of the admin and the user interface. And the last one is adding the future technology. Okay, so step 1, let's classify suitable use case. There are 3 things that blockchain can work very well. Number 1 is info authentication and verification, smart asset management, and smart contracts. So information and authentication and verification includes immutable storage, digital signatures and encryption, data or info in almost any format which can be stored in a blockchain network. Blockchains can be public or private key pair and also be used for developing and verifying digital signatures. Another how blockchain can work very well through smart asset management. It includes issuance, payment, exchange like escrow and retirement, a smart crypto assets and tokenized version of the real world assets. Example of this is gold, silver, oil, and land. And the last one is smart contracts. Smart contract functionally is use of blockchain technology to execute an agreement digitally and reduce the risk of loss. And step number 2, analyze the most suitable consensus, algorithm, and mechanism. Okay, there's multiple blockchain platforms that offer group na dito sa pag sa ano na consensus siya. So na number one of this proof of work, yung proof of stake, delegated proof of stake, proof of elapsed time, proof of importance, proof of capacity, proof of weight, proof of activity, and the BFFT or and simplified Byzantine fault tolerance, and the DAG, the directed acrylic graphs, tangle, and more. So marami pa, di lang ito yung mga algorithm and mechanism na ginagamit or the blockchain platform. Step 3, identify the most suitable platform. Some of the most popular platforms are like Big Chain Database, Chain Core, Corda, Credits, Domus Tower Blockchain, Element Blockchain Platform, the Aries, Hydra Chain, Hyperledger Fabric, Hyperledger Ledger Iroha, the Sawtooth Lake, the Multi-Chain, the Open Chain, the Quorum, and the Stellar. And number 4, so you should know also that decide whether your blockchain network application be permission network or permissionless network. Okay? So permissionless network, anyone can join and start to verify. Most example are Bitcoin and Ethereum networks. And the permission network, in this case, the network owner picks who can join their network, and only few members are allowed to verify the blocks. The consensus mechanism can be same as in the permissionless network or can be completely uniquely developed. Okay, under designing the nodes, blockchain solution can be private, public, or hybrid. One more thing to consider is at the step whether the nodes will run on the cloud, on-premise, or both. Okay, so then hardware configuration issues like processors, memory, and disk size. And it also required to choose the base operating system na gagamitin. And step 5, design the blockchain elements. So most of blockchains carefully planned configuration for the following elements: permissions, asset issuance, atomic exchange, and key management, and block signatures, multi-signatures, parameters, native assets, address formats, and key formats, and block signatures. Sorry. Step 6, building the APIs. right? Creating key pairs and addresses, acting audit related function, data verification through hashes and digital signatures, data storage and retrieval, smart assets, lifecycle management like issuance, payment, exchange, escrow, and retirement, and smart contracts. So about in step 7, layout of admins and interface. So should consider the front end and the programming language you will use. So you also need to choose external database as well as servers, including FTP servers and web servers and mail servers. Then step 8, the last step, adding feature tech. You can extremely enhance the power of blockchain solution by integrating in AI, in biometrics, through blockchain, chatbots, cloud, cognitive services, containers, data analytics, Internet of Things or IoT, and machine language or ML. What are the best blockchain development tools? So here are a sample of development tools that you can use in creating blockchain. Remix IDE, Truffle Framework, Solvc, Solium, Ket, Embark, Ganache, either scripted as a service, Black Ops, MetaMask, like yung popular na ginagamit sa MetaMask, is a friendly user naman eh. AMAES, Blockchain Testnet, Web3.js, and JavaScript Test RPC, and Zeppelin also. Which programming language is the best for blockchain? So, ito yung mga sample na pwede natin gamitin for programming language to make a blockchain. So, it's up to you if yung saan kayo mas komportable eh saan yung mas expertise nyo. Okay? Example is C++, Java, Python, Ruby, Solidity, Go, C#, the famous one, the C#, JavaScript, and famous din ginagamit yan, Simplicity, Rust, Rolang, CX, PHP, and Vipers, and Skila. Okay. I have sample coding in blockchain here. Okay. Gawa siya sa C#. Okay. So ito yung sample yung sa block. So we have public yung mga integer natin, strings. Okay. Ito yung mga mga using time stop. And yung mga variables ng hash. Okay. Then this one is for the blockchain, also created in C#. Okay. Okay, so I have a sample rito, actual coding in C#. So, share screen ko lang.
Hello everyone, welcome back once again. In this video we will look at implementing the blockchain inside the C# project using the Visual Studio 2022. But before we get started, please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So blockchain is a system for recording information in a way that makes it difficult or impossible to change, hack, or cheat the system. And of course, Visual Studio is an integrated development environment for building websites, web apps, mobile apps, softwares, etc. So, as you can see on the screen, I've actually got our Visual Studio opened. Yeah, so we go ahead by creating a new project. Yeah, so in this case, we're going to use a C# console app. Yeah, so we're going to create a new project, and we select the language to be C#, of course. So we select a C# console app. Yeah, and here we're not going to do anything to the configuration. We're just going to click on the next, and then next again. So here, obviously, we're using the .NET 6.0. Yeah. So we click on the create. Yeah. So it might take a while. I mean, as you can see, we've got the new project created for us now. So we're not going to waste too much time. So we go ahead and click on the project, right click on the project, and add a new item. Basically, we're going to add a new class. Yeah. And we're going to call this class block.cs. Yeah, so this will be a public class. Yeah, so before we get into the class, yeah, we're going to create another interface. Yeah, this will be a public interface, and we're going to call this iBlock. So inside our interface, this is what we're going to put inside. So we're going to put a byte array, and we're going to call it data, and it's a get. Yeah, and we put another byte array, and we're going to call it hash. Yeah, and this one will be a get setter. Yeah, and we're going to put an integer property called a nonce. So basically, I will explain the nonce later on. So we're just gonna put our get setter here, and we're going to put another byte array. So this one will be our previous hash. Yeah, so we're going to put our previous hash, and this will also be a get setter. And then we have a datetime. So this will be our timestamp. Yeah, and it's also a get setter. So as you can see, this is what we've got for the iBlock. Yeah, so we come back to the block class. Yeah, and we implement the iBlock. Yeah, so now we're actually going to implement all the members. So what we do is I'm just going to type them here. So the first one is a byte array, and that is our data, and it's a get. And then we have, and this is a public as well. So basically, these are all public classes. So let's bear that in mind. Public. Just gonna copy it, paste it here. So they're all public classes. So here we're just gonna make this bit public as well. Yeah, so the next part is, of course, we're gonna put our public byte array, and that is our hash, and that is a get setter. and we put our public integer as a nonce. That is a get set as well. Then we put another public byte array. So this will be our previous hash, and that is a get set. Then we have the time stamp. So it's also a public daytime. This will be our time stamp, and it's a get setter. So as you can see, this is what we've actually got. We've got all the what we have inside the I block here. Yeah, so this is what we're going to do next. So inside the block, we're going to create the constructor. So we put this parameter byte array. So this will be a byte array, and we're gonna call this data. Yeah. So here, inside here, we're gonna set our data. Data to be equal to the incoming data. Otherwise, we throw in a new argument. Yeah, so this is what we do. Then the next part, we will set our nonce. Set it to 0. Then the previous hash. Set it to new byte array. We're just gonna put this. Then the timestamp. We set the timestamp to daytime.now. Yeah, so this is what we have here inside the block. So the last bit is we override it to string method inside the block. So this is what we're going to do. So it's a public override string. Okay, so here instead of returning the base to string, this is what we're going to do. We're going to return this here. So basically what we're going to return, I'm just going to copy and paste this. So, but I'll let you know, you can pause it and redo it just to save time, you know. So basically this is what we're going to put inside. So if we look at it here, so we actually converting some of the incoming data here. So look at it properly. So you can pause it and do it. So basically this is the part 1 of the video. So I'm just going to do part 2.
So that's it. Ayun po yung sample natin ng code sa Moon Blockchain. So we will continue tomorrow. Sample coding pa rin about sa blockchain and other ng blockchain demo, how to how to create a simple blockchain.
Uh, okay, thank you, sir, for that very informative discussion. So, students, do you have any questions? You can put them now on the chat box. So, our speakers are still here to be able to address your questions if you have any. Okay, so I think there's no questions for today. Thank you guys for attending day 4 of our webinar series. Hope you can still see you tomorrow. As the start time will still be the same. The course code for the cybersecurity is elective in cybersecurity CYBS 6100. That's now
Right, so may
available.
nakita akong tanong, sorry po, may
Go ahead,
nakita
sir.
akong tanong kung how many variables daw, yung sa hash daw, may nakita ako kanina.
Yes, sir. Yung previous question.
Yung previous question. It's about ano siya yung 1 to 8 bit, like yung 256 bit natin in data. Ganun siya. Ganun yung nagko-compose siya. Parang just like pag gumagawa ka ng random code sa using sa VB or sa C Sharp, ganun yung lumalabas din sa hash. Parang ganun siya. Pero just like a fingerprint nga na unique ano siya. Hindi siya magkakaroon ng katulad na na series of numbers and alphanumeric numbers.
Okay, so any other questions? Okay, meron din tayong yung new course, yung Introduction to Data Analytics, yung elective in Data Analytics. That's also available. Any other questions, students? Okay, so I think there's no question. Wala nang naka-pending. So again, thank you for attending, guys. Thank you po, Ma'am Karen, Ma'am Michelle, Sir Ferdinand. Bukas po ulit for our day 5. Thank you, guys. Close ko na po
Thank
yung
you, sir.
webinar.
Thank you po.
Thank you po. And for dun sa
Thank you,
nagtatanong
sir.
ng
Salamat
certificates,
po.
I will give the instructions regarding that on how you get it after the webinar tomorrow, no, for our day 5. Thank you.